Good evening, and welcome to the Kuhn Academy, where we're not just learning history, we're making history. All right, we're going to talk to you about Hawaii and the annexation of the islands back in 1898. All right, so obviously we're all familiar with Hawaii. I'm sure a lot of us have been there. I'm sure Kelly has without realizing it. Um, but we should know that Hawaii was brought into the United States in 1898, not as a state. All right, smartboard's off. I'm sorry for that. I have to recalibrate it. Um, but it was brought in 1898, not as part of the Spanish-American War, but it was annexed completely apart from that. But for some reason, we want to associate it with that. So maybe it's just because it was the same year. Okay. Now, the issue in Hawaii was sugar cane. All right, obviously that's one of their main products, and how they make most of their money in exports and things. And forever, that sugar cane had been duty free. All right, so Hawaii, being its own independent nation prior to 1898, could sell their sugar cane into the United States for no charge. Okay, because they obviously wanted to make money, wanted to sell it, and the United States was encouraging that importation. All right, in 1890, however, all right, a tariff is imposed. All right. Sorry, that's not going to work. A tariff was imposed in 1898 or 1890 to help Cuba. So that way Hawaiian sugarcane could cost more money, and the Cuban sugarcane would be able to compete with it. All right. Well, the planters in Hawaii felt that was not fair, and the best way to avoid paying a tariff to the United States would be to be taken over by the United States. So the planters pushed for annexation into the United States, not as a state, but just as a territory, so they would avoid paying that. All right, and planters were your wealthy white investors from the United States. Okay, so the Queen Liliuokalani, all right, as you can see on the board here, she was kind of pro-Hawaiian, obviously, and not so much supportive of the United States. So she proposed a change to their constitution that would drop the property requirement to be able to vote. Well, who is going to benefit from that, okay, if we are not having property to vote? Obviously, it would be the planter class, or the planters in the working class that are kind of oppressed by most of the farmers. All right. Well, obviously, they would kind of want not a socialist revolt, but they would definitely want to see a redistribution of the property and some of the income. So, the business groups on the island called for a revolt against the Queen. All right, and that revolt was led by a guy named Sanford Dole. All right. Now, if you're thinking Dole, Hawaii, you are absolutely right. All right. Sanford Dole was obviously a farmer of pineapples, among other things, and he is elected as the new president of Hawaii after the overthrow of the Queen. Now, the Queen was overthrown by the Hawaiians. However, the U.S. military and the Marines were right there just in case things didn't quite work out. So it wasn't our revolt, it was theirs. And Sanford Dole is elected a new president, and he immediately asks for annexation to the United States, and Hawaii becomes a territory. And in 1959, 61 years later, they will become a state in the Union. So when Hawaii is attacked in Pearl Harbor, they're actually not even a state at that time. All right, so this is the Hawaii annexation, the beginnings of America's imperialistic quest. All right, hope you enjoyed this short lesson from the Kuhn Academy. And remember, we're just not learning history, we're making history. Have a great evening. We'll see you on the Spanish-American War side here in a minute.